Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grip Block, Foundation Disc Golf Weekly Podcast. I'm Hunter, joined as always by Trevor and Konner.
Hey!
We have a fun episode today. We're going to talk through the Northwest Disc Golf Championship, some drama on hole 18. Electric weekend out there, so we'll talk through all of that. We'll have Trevor's Trivia. Don't worry, guys. I'm not running Trevor's Trivia this week. It was a whole shindig, Trev.
No.
We're never doing Trevor's Trivia without Trevor.
What happened?
Can't tell you
people
about it.
really messed about
people hated it.
Really?
Sporkle?
They did not like what I did. And then
We'll get to that later.
By what you did.
We'll get into
that
the
later.
pick'em and all of that stuff. And we get to have Trevor's reaction plus the actual writing of the new PDGA rules.
Oh, yeah. I purposely didn't read these, by the way, because I knew that we were going to talk about it. And I was like, I was on vacation, so I didn't feel like digging into the PDGA rules anyways. But I was like, honestly, it'd be way funnier if I just blind react to these, because I knew they must be, like, I saw Hunter start texting them, and I was like, I got like a glimpse, and I was like, that looks ridiculous. Let me just wait, and we'll go over it on Grip Block. So it'll be a really blind reaction.
So blind reacts
I'm excited.
from T-Dog.
Ooh.
But first, quick word from our sponsors.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Trevor, they can't hear you. You got to tell them what you're doing.
Well, if you're watching
They
our
can't hear him. They can't hear him, so tell him what he's doing.
If you're watching on YouTube, you can see my 6 shades right now. Wearing my
Those are
Gooders
really
episode 2.
sick.
Yeah, these ones are dope.
I like those a lot.
These ones are called Sunbathing with Wizards.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So we're sponsored by Gooder. Today's episode is brought to you by Gooder. We love Gooder sunglasses. They make the best sunglasses for disc golf out there because they're lightweight. They stay on your face. They don't get all sweaty. They're breathable. So when you're out there playing on the course, when you're trying to walk the new London redesign, they're not falling all over the place. And here's the other thing. They're fully polarized, nice and durable, tons of different styles, and they start at just $25. That's the best part about these sunglasses. That's why you can keep going back for more. They have so many different things for everybody out there. They got a louder pair, kind of like, I think the one I'm wearing right now is medium loud, where it is not loud compared to some of the things they offer. They've got
quite a few louds.
Yeah, they've got some awesome frames, shapes, and colors, but they also have some that are more simple. You just want like the all black. You just want something a little bit, a little bit more quiet. That's great too. They've got that as well. But if you want to check out Gooder, you can go to gooder.com. That's GOODR.com/griplocked and use code griplocked, and you're going to get yourself free shipping on that first pair of Gooders. So make sure to go and check that out. We love Gooder. We've been wearing these sunglasses for years now. I was just at the beach last week. I was rotating Gooders.
Yeah.
My sister had her Gooders. Like, it's become a movement at this point. So make sure to gooder.com. That's GOODR.com/griplock. Use code griplock. Get yourself free shipping on these Gooders.
It's one of the sponsors that I go buy more of and spend my own money on.
Yeah.
Like, I use our codes on Gooders frequently.
Yeah.
Love them to death. Today's episode is also brought to you by us and our coaching platform. If you haven't checked this out yet, this year we rolled out some more intensive tutorial-based programs on our website. If you go up to the top tabs where you see the different options, you can hit Get Better Here. That's going to take you to some different courses that we offer. You can just check out one course, or you can do the all-access subscription that you can cancel at any time, but that's going to give you access to every one of our courses. This may not be the courses to leap you to the Pro Tour, but it's going to help you win that local tag match, perhaps. We've got things for putting, and we've got things for backhands, a little bit of everything out there from different coaches ourselves. Robbie C. and Brody are in there, and there's going to be more coaching classes coming soon in the future, so make sure to check that out as well.
It's very practical. It's very practical coaching that leads to like things for you to implement immediately.
Yeah, super fundamental stuff.
Sir, yes, sir. And you know where the fundamentals were on display?
Display.
The Northwest Disc Golf Championship this weekend.
Ooh.
Let's start in FPO. Okay, so first off, this event as a whole.
This event needs to be sponsored by a good bank. Just feels like it needs to be. I think maybe because Northwest Mutual is a bank, and so you said Northwest, and that's where my brain went.
Gotcha. Yeah.
All right.
I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this tournament. I liked the combining of Beaver State and Portland Open. I think it provided a good.
Well, yeah, Glendivere's like probably the best. Is it the best golf course?
It's
you
up
think?
there.
It's got to be up there.
Typically, what used to happen was it was a part of the West Coast swing where you'd have golf course, golf course, golf course, golf course.
What are you laughing at?
That was like the most sensitive way to say that possible.
Well,
maybe not.
I was thinking in my head, like trying to think of other ones.
Wild horse.
Because it used to get
That's true.
it used to get a bad rep because we started the year so golf course heavy, and Portland was the last one. So by the time you got to Glendevere,
sick of it.
you were sick of golf courses. So it really didn't matter if it was a good course design. It was gonna get the brunt of I have seen so many golf courses so far. I don't want to see another one.
It makes sense.
So when you pair it up in this sense, and we haven't started nearly as golf course heavy anymore, I think it really lets it shine. I really like Glendoveer East. I really like how Milo McIver played.
I think the only thing you could say about Glendoveer is it kind of falls into the category sometimes of the low ceiling open allegations, where it's you are throwing. But I think the problem is what's happened is these disc golf course designers, especially when you're at the golf courses, they have discovered a very truthful element, which is that the low ceiling is probably the best way to limit players' distance potential without it looking completely ridiculous. And so, like, as much as it does get a little repetitive, you see a lot of rollers, although I think rollers are a very exciting shot, to be honest. You see a lot of more rollers, and you do see a lot more low limbs getting hit. I think that's what kind of rubs people the wrong way. It is effective. So, yeah, I don't know how everybody sits on that, because it does get to a point sometimes where you see enough low ceiling shots in a row where you're like, I don't really know. Maybe it's a little one-dimensional. But I do think that the property looks gorgeous, too.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, is like everything up in Portland. And it hosts the crowd well. Pretty good crowd out there.
Especially the final day.
Yeah.
So they started rounds 1 and 2 out of Milo McIver, which is the Beaver State Fling course. Then round 3 and 4 out of Glendoveer. Typically, I like going back and forth, so I like it being more like Milo, Glendoveer in this situation. But I do like ending on the golf course, because I do think the golf course is just better suited for larger crowds.
Yeah, that's a great question, honestly.
So I like the weekends being on the golf course. So it is what it is. I really enjoyed it. I thought it played very well. And going right out the gates on FPO, because on the preview show, I was talking about how this felt like for Holland Handley and Gannon Burr, this was as close to me as a guaranteed win as any event we were going to walk into. Both of them have been playing very solid this year. They both had really good success here last year at both Beaver State and Portland, yada, yada, yada. It felt like their courses. So going in, that's what it felt like. But on FPO, I said the problems for Holland are Missy Gannon and Paige Pierce, mainly because both of us were on the same page. This felt like the tournament Paige Pierce was going to win.
It did.
It just felt like she was peaking at the right point, and everything was moving in the right direction. Round 1, you have Missy and Holland come out the gates at 8 under. You have Paige at 5. Then round 2, Missy and Holland push forward a little bit. Missy takes the lead at 16. Holland's at 15. Paige is all the way back at 11. So going into the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, I was actually thinking Missy Gannon might run away with this thing.
Oh, really?
But
I feel like
it flips because Holland Handley plays Glendoveer so well.
Yeah, I was gonna say I felt like with where it was at, I thought Missy's best 2 rounds were gonna come in those first 2, so I was feeling pretty confident about Holland.
I was more just thinking because I feel like typically when Missy gets a lead at an event that has a lot of money on the line, big money Missy.
Yeah, good point.
When she gets a lead, she seems to be one of those players that's very good at holding the lead. Not to mention Holland under pressure is still questionable.
To be fair, she kind of played some like hold the lead type rounds. Like a lot of times in FPO when she does hold the lead, it's because other players are just not playing very well behind her, and it kind of became a track meet there towards the end. Like especially Holland really went for it.
So round 3, you have Holland and Paige both shooting a scorching hot 10 under to Missy's 5, which opened up a 4-stroke lead for Holland that she wouldn't give up. It got close. I think Missy was able to cut it to 2 in that final round, but shortly thereafter, she gave it right back, and Holland went on a birdie streak of holes 10 through hole 14 and opened it back up and went on to actually extend her lead and end up winning by 7 strokes.
Yeah.
So she kind of was able to put it into cruise control. There was a little bit of a battle between 2nd, 3rd, 4th going on towards the end, but Missy was able to hold on to 2nd. Paige was able to hold on to 3rd. And yeah, this is Holland Handley's 3rd win of the year.
Dude, shout out to Taylor Choek. I don't really think that she typically frequents that high up on the leaderboard. I didn't even notice that.
Might be her best.
Has to be, right? I'm pretty sure she has.
So this is her second time inside the top 20 if you include 20th place as the top 20.
And she took 7th.
And she took 7th this weekend.
Nice.
So yeah.
Holland's putting together a very dominant season right now. Obviously there's some insane precedent for what is a dominant season in FPO because of what Kristen's done in the years past. But what are we looking at? We have 1 outside the top 3 or top 3, or 2 outside the top 3 now.
Yeah,
and 3 wins.
She has 2 back-to-back 5th places.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is there's another player with 3 Pro Tour wins this season, and it is Kristen Lott.
Yeah.
The thing is, Kristen just hasn't played She didn't play the Supreme Flight Open. She didn't play Kansas City Wide Open. And then she went over and played Konner, which now with the fractured European field and American field, you basically, because of how good Evelina and Silva are, the U.S. field, I think, is still a little bit stronger depth-wise.
Oh, yeah.
But you're missing Kristen, which is the big piece. And the field Kristen's playing against is against proven players in Silva and Evelina. So really, it's an interesting thing to kind of try to digest.
It is really funny that like they're going to be collecting wins basically at the same time, just on different continents basically. Yeah. And they're like building these resumes, and it becomes less of a head-to-head argument now, and it's more of a like, okay, who's competition? Who's two other players? It's basically like, do you think it's harder to beat Evelina and Silva on any given day versus Missy and add any combination of Own, Ella, Kat, Paige?
Well,
in this case?
If we do go head-to-head, Holland's only beaten Kristen once, and Kristen's beaten Holland 3 times so far this year.
That is a pretty convincing, compelling argument.
So Kristen's beat her 1st to 2nd at Waco, then lost to her at the Open at Austin, then beat her 1st to 3rd at Music City, then beat her 2nd to 5th at Champions Cup.
We're going to have a pretty awesome one coming up in, 2-3 weeks here at U.S. Women's?
U.S. Women's will be in, I believe, it's 3 events from now. I think that's 3 weeks from now because we have the Ale Open, and then I think this is the Preserve? TPC?
Preserve.
Or is that TPC Sawgrass?
No, I believe that is the Preserve.
So I don't think Kristen's back until U.S. Women's, if I remember correctly. But I'll look that up really quick.
I don't think she would jump back in for Preserve.
Well, what's interesting is you did have players like Yuli and Ezra go over for Konner and come right back for the Portland Open, which was an interesting play, to be honest with you, because like that's a lot of flying. But yeah, so she has come back from the Preserve. So she's going Ale Open, really? Preserve, U.S. Women's. So we're what will be more interesting is just when drops start to get factored at the end of the year. Obviously, Kristen's going to have these blanks to drop.
She'll probably be able to afford them.
So it'll depend on how much that jumps her up. Because like right now, she's almost 200 points behind Missy, and she's only, again, lost to Missy once at Champions Cup, where she came in 2nd, Missy's 1st. So like Kristen, when you put her in the field, no one's better than Kristen this year. But Kristen is missing events. And so then she is decently behind in points.
Same old story.
So it's a similar thing to what led to Missy Gannon being the player of the year last year when I think it should have went to Kristen. It's a similar story being formed for Holland this year of like player of the year up to this point, I think has to be Kristen. But if you look at it, it's probably Holland.
It is building a like prototypical because
Kristen hasn't come out. Kristen's only finished 1st or 2nd.
Yeah.
Versus Holland's has 2 5th places.
They're just setting up for like the same pattern where like Holland, you're right. Like if they ended the season right now, they would probably give the win. Well, yeah, they would give the win to Holland. I'm sure of it. And then like Kristen everybody would have that argument. It'd be the exact same thing as last year.
So it's very interesting.
And then we'll have to watch the Grippies to find out who really wins the award.
It's a very interesting start to the season, though. But it's a very impressive start for Holland because Holland's also won. This was a weekend, like I said, where she was expected to win, but she has won in places that I wouldn't have really thought.
Where is U.S. Women's this year? Looking ahead?
U.S. Women's.
I don't know if I remember.
Actually, you know what the best way is going to be click on this. Manitowoc, Wisconsin.
That's right.
Wisconsin.
That's right.
Yes, sir. So that'll be June 19th through the 22nd. So that's the next major.
I wonder. I don't know if there's like history at this particular event, but I feel like U.S. Women's, they do get pretty experimental with the courses they go to.
A lot of times, what ends up happening is typically there is, which I don't know if this is true this year. Yes. So it's just a giant. Pretty much every division is there. Yeah. It's every women division possible. So you have juniors, you have amateurs. So what a lot of times happens is because of that, the courses aren't catered to FPO.
No.
Because they have to, there might be FA1 playing them too and stuff. So that's what's happened historically, is a lot of times the courses are easier than what you see anywhere else on tour.
Isn't that such a funny thing where like you have USDGC, which is known for being one of the more grueling tracks, and then US Women's. And like that's just kind of a US Open tradition because like in golf, they set up the courses the hardest for the US Open. But like US Women's is, you're right, it's usually the easiest one.
A lot of times, yeah. So
respect.
Again, throw pink women's major in our hearts. I think that's where U.S. Women should be for the FPO division.
There's chatter about that getting like changed around. I don't know if that's gonna like actually
but we'll
happen.
See. But a phenomenal start to the year for Holland because if she was one of those players who was always on the cusp, has never really been able to be a proven winner, and props to her as well. When things did get tight, things did get down to I believe it was 2 strokes in that middle stretch around hole 8 and 9. Now, obviously, Missy aided because she ended up giving bogeying to Holland's birdie, but Holland was able to respond with 5 birdies in a row. So she was able to lock back in and play a more course management style and really do what she had to do. So very impressive performance from Holland to take a dominant win out here at the Northwest Disc Golf Championships. Now, over on MPO's side, we had really out the gates it seems like round 1 and 2 for who ended up winning. Really was just like, okay,
talk about
hang in it.
Yeah.
And then rounds 3 and 4 are like, this is when you can really push the pace.
This event was such a great litmus test or like example of how, like, I think we've got a little bit caught up in, player specific to course in the past. And I think the mistake to make is like, it doesn't really apply to the best of the best. And we learned that with like, the ABs and the Gannons, they can win anywhere. But if you look at the round 1 and 2, especially round 1 leaderboard, it's such a like slap in the face reflection of like, yeah, those guys are a lot better at this course than they're going to be at the next one we play. I mean, Paul Ulibarri on top with Bradley Williams right behind. It's like the most Milo leaderboard ever.
So round 1, you had Yuli 1, Bradley Williams 2, Eagle 3rd, which Eagle was a guy that in the previous show I was talking about.
Yeah.
This could be his tournament. So
I thought it was going to be.
When Eagle popped off early, because he hung around, nope, round 2, he fell off the face of the earth.
No, but he climbed back by the end of it, but I think he finished like 18 under or something.
Where the heck's Eagle? Yeah, round 2, he only shot 2 under.
Yeah.
So round 1, he opened up hot. Round 2, he finished falling off way down the leaderboard. But you had Bradley Williams stayed up in there. Paul Ulibarri. Bradley Williams actually put on one of the most impressive putting performances of all time that first round. I don't know if you're watching him and Ricky. I think it was the first round. Him and Ricky were like exchanging.
I don't think I saw most of that.
Oh, they were exchanging these like, let me see if I can find his stats. He reined in, okay, on here it ends up just being a 60-footer, a 48-footer, and a 30. But
they were raining.
I'm telling you, if you were watching it when it was happening, like I think it must be that some of these like longer circle 1 putts were like obstructed, because it was like, and when they would hit one, Ricky, like if Bradley Williams hit like a 60-footer, Ricky would hit a 50-footer right after, so it made it feel like, it made it feel bigger than it was.
I got you.
Because they actually played the replays in like round 2. And it was just like over. Obviously, when they're in replay, it's going to be over and over. But it was crazy, the putts these guys were hitting. And like, it was very fun to watch. Anyways, Bradley Williams was able to pop off there, Yuli. So going into round 3, Gannon had actually opened up a 2-stroke lead. And I felt like, there it is, it's over.
Yeah.
But then Anthony Barella throws himself into the conversation. So AB was going into Glendoveer. He was 5 strokes back of Gannon going into round 3. 5 strokes back of the lead. After round 3, he was tied for the lead because he ended up shooting a 12 under at Glendoveer.
I mean,
so what this felt like was, well, first off, on the preview show, I talked about how Anthony Barella had never played good at Beaver State Fling or at Portland Open. And I talked about how I know he just won.
Don't you?
Well, he just won the Cascade Challenge. So I was like, could this year be different? But last year he had won 3 times coming into this stretch already and went 44th, 61st at these 2 events.
Yeah.
So like,
those are pretty condemning
to me,
numbers.
I was like, there's something about these courses that don't work out for him. So on Underdog,
which is so funny because like we played Milo and it's just a bunch of Heisers.
That's what I said. I said these courses on paper should be Anthony Barella courses.
He
but like,
probably had the flu, man.
Historically, but I mean, never. He finished top 20 once, and it was a 19th at Beaver State.
It actually kind of feels like the perfect AB course.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I said on the preview shows. I was like, I will be surprised if he gets in contention, but on paper, he never does. He never does.
Hunter stats.
Well, so I took him outside the top.
I'm the stats guy.
I took him outside 7.5 on Underdog. That
annihilated.
That sucked. And then I obviously didn't pick him in our pick 'em.
I wish I was paying attention.
Well, it started at 8.5.
It would have been so free.
Well, it's easy in retrospect.
No, I would have taken that.
Well, no, the other problem is
I bet him every week.
I know the other problem is you would have done exactly what I did, and you would have had trust in Ricky Wysocki and Paul Macbeth, and they also would have shot your heart out.
I don't think PMB. Rick, I would have maybe.
Paul was top 11.5. 11.5.
I would have thought about it.
I was like, he's getting better than that.
You were probably feeling pretty good after round 2.
Ricky had to come top 5. I felt phenomenal after round 2. I felt phenomenal after round 2 because I flexed it. I flexed Gannon Burr to plus 2, like above 2.5. Anthony Barella outside the top 8. He was 8.5 was where I took that one.
I never would have took that.
I know. Ricky Wysocki inside the top 5. Paul Macbeth inside the top 11.
Inside the top 50.
Inside the top 11. That was my 4 flex pick.
Yeah.
Okay, it would have paid out if all 4 hit, which after round 2,
$1 billion.
it would have paid out like $65. It was like 6.5 times.
Shoot.
I put $10 on it. And then they all just blew up. The only one that freaking hit was Gannon Burr.
Here's what I will say, like the
Would have changed your life.
What's so funny about the disc golf, like the betting
Ricky
thing?
was also, I was texting this. Let me read you this course of text, because basically Anthony Barella was freaking reining in putts in that final round like it was his job. It is his job. It was disgusting.
It is his job.
And I said,
true.
so this is I said, of course I bet against AB on underdog this week. I hate statistics. They're meaningless. And then as I'm sending those texts, it cuts to Ricky on a mound hole, 7 putting back and forth. I don't know what it actually was, but he like air ball, clank, tap out. And I said,
Somebody's paying him off.
and I said, and of course, my only hope for my flex pick, because if at least at that point, Paul was still kind of close. If Ricky could have gotten to the top 5 and Gannon been in the top 2, which he was going to be in the top 2, a flex pick still would have worked. I still got 3 or 4. And I said, of course, my only hope for my flex pick was Ricky to come top 5, and now I'm watching the man 7 putt on a mound.
The lines thing has
brutal.
made you realize that like the amount of shuffling that happens in place like 3 through 15 is hysterical. Like the end of these rounds, I mean, people are just jumping all over the place. I mean, Corey Ellis, he hung on there a little bit, but did he actually get the solo? Wait, where did he finish? Did he finish?
No, he kind of felt like a rock.
Did he lose the money?
He came in 7th.
Yeah, because he was set up to make some good money there at the end if he could play out, and then he missed like a 28-footer, which he never does, and then threw a high putt from like 15 feet that caught a little high and just launched out of the basket at him.
Yeah.
Like, guys were just throwing it away, and then
It was brutal.
Yeah.
It was brutal. What's funny is I might be one of the
against themselves. That's
I might be one of the worst
You're right.
disc golf, daily fantasy, whatever the frick underdog is, players of all time. Because I started at Music City,
I took a week off.
and if you tweet your affiliate link, people can get you can get $10 for referrals. So I put $5 in, and I got like $40 or $50 from people using my affiliate link.
Oh, heck yeah.
So I was like, this is phenomenal.
Shout
This
out.
is going to last me all
he's
season.
A marketer.
Well, you only have a week to use the $10.
Yeah.
So what I did at Music City was I realized too late, and I put it on an NBA game.
And you won.
And I won $200 in the NBA
Oh my
game.
gosh, Hunter, you're rich.
I pulled out like 50 or 100 of it because I put 5 in. So, of course, that was great. I'm up.
He's up.
And then the rest of it, I was like, this will be my disc golf for the rest of the season because like I'm not going to lose. I already lost it all. I have $1 left. I have $1 left. I haven't hit. I've hit one bet. One. And it was like 2 weeks ago.
Shout out to the line makers. They're
And like
good
2
at what
weeks
they
ago
do.
at FPO. And every week I go in, I'm like, they're idiots. This is so easy. And then every week I
Sounds
lose
like
it.
they got you right where they want it.
Yeah. The only thing I won was
the
only thing I
think
won
it's just a lesson, man, because like
was-
I don't really mess around with that stuff.
That's
Cat
true.
merch.
Yeah,
I
Hunter,
had
you are kind of the gambling guy.
Yeah.
cat merch better than 6.5.
Not for me, man.
This was Champions Cup. This was the Cascade Challenge. I had cat
slippery
merch
slope.
better than 6.5. She came in 13. I had Missy
Sucks.
Gannon better than 4.5. She came in first. Great. And I had Gannon Burr worse than 2.5. He came in 5th. So that's the only one I hit.
Well-
$5 paid $5.90.
Hey, Hunter.
So I popped the frick off there.
that I think this
I'm
is
out
actually.
now. I'm done for the rest of the year.
We're glad that you're here, Hunter. We're actually not even recording.
Yeah.
This is just an intervention.
No, it's just hilarious to me that I watch disc golf for a living. I haven't watched a single NBA game. Like not a single one.
This is quite your.
And I
That's
threw.
funny. You're
I
really
made
talking about how
$200
this
on an
works.
NBA game.
This is how
because I was
this
just so funny. So
It is
yeah.
funny.
Here's what you
Basically,
need to do. Here's what you need to do.
my underdog career is over. Is what I'm saying. I have $1 left.
If you ever make it back into the ring,
I'm
you
not
need
going
to. You may.
I turned 5 into 200. I should have pulled it all out. I turned 5 into 50, and that's what happened.
If you ever get back in the ring, just make your really well-informed picks and then go exactly against them, and then that's the time you would have actually won.
Yeah.
Or you can do what I
You
do and
lose
just
anyways.
spend all your paycheck on scratch-off tickets.
Yeah, I typically like to play those little gas station slot machines.
Yeah.
I have better return on investment. I usually get
What
about
I do is-
$30 for every 100.
I just respond to all of the text messages I get about like car insurance and house insurance.
I've got
and all that
6
stuff.
different
And then
remote
I just
jobs
put my-
reviewing Temu products that pay $12 grand
I
a
just
month.
put my card information into all those things, and then my money disappears.
Nice.
One time a guy,
All leads the same
One time a
place.
guy
Same
hacked
thing as-
my PayPal and bought so many pairs of Adidas shoes. And I got my money back, but they got the shoes. The shoes got delivered. I got the email. So
Well, that-
shout out
one
to that
time-
guy in Florida.
One time, someone broke
you
into
like
my.
the Ultra Boost.
They broke into my car at the running trail, and went to Sam's Club and went on a like $8,000 shopping spree at our local Sam's Club on my credit cards.
How did he even make it out of the store with all that stuff?
That's why I don't know.
Fit it in his truck?
And so I called the police, obviously, because my car got broken into. They were a nice criminal because they left behind my driver's license and my insurance cards and like all that and my wallet itself. They only took out my credit cards.
That actually,
it was a very nice criminal.
You know?
Have you ever thought that maybe it was an inside job because they never pursued the lead?
Because then I called the police because
like
I was like,
Trevor,
hey.
like Hunter did it.
No, like the police did it.
Well, I told them, I'm like, this is going to be the easiest catch of all time. You got to go see who spent $8,000 at our local Sam's Club at 8 a.m. on a Friday.
You wouldn't.
They got
close to anybody who is
got-
related to somebody high up in law enforcement around here, would you?
Oh yeah, but
Hunter.
who knows? Who knows? Anyways,
I
they
think this
did.
is the plot of The
police
Departed.
did nothing, but I was able to just like file the fraudulent charges on my credit card, and they all got canceled. And I got a new card sent to me, and I was like, this guy just got away scotch free because like I'm not upset enough because
What's
like,
going to keep him from doing it again?
He didn't steal $8,000 from me.
That's true.
Like he stole nothing from me.
This is
he
what you
stole
have to do in that situation. Never mind.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It was like, it's the perfect crime.
I've been buying Chick-fil-A ever since.
It was a perfect crime.
Let me nerf
because
what
he
I was about
probably
to say. This is what you do in that situation. You figure out when he set the order time, and then you show up at the same time with a baseball bat. And you say, here's a baseball bat instead. You go play baseball and make money that way.
Gotcha. And I take my credit cards back.
Yes.
Because he'll just hand them to me for the baseball
trade.
bat. It's a trade. Okay, let's talk final round.
Go make an honest man's living. Go play baseball.
Let's talk final round now.
It was going to be more violent than that.
So Anthony Barella, obviously 12 under round 3, chased down Gannon. They're going into final round tied up. It feels like Gannon or Anthony Barella should win this thing. Gannon actually comes out the gates pretty well, gives it back. They go back and forth a little bit. All round, what I felt like was I saw, especially early in the round, Gannon picked it up late. Early in the round, it felt like Gannon was kind of timid. He was missing some putts I felt like he normally would make.
Bro.
And then Anthony Barella couldn't miss a putt, it felt like. Like the dude, he kept having testers on like, this is where he's going to give up a stroke to Gannon or whatever, and then he would drain them. Most of them were like in the outskirts of circle 1 to early circle 2 putts. And it felt like every big time putt AB needed to make, it was dead center, hard of the chains, never a doubt.
He's become a very good putter. He makes those. He has a very poppy spin putt, and he makes it look very easy to keep on the pole.
That's why we call him Poppy Spin Putt.
That's a fun shirt, like a granddad and called Poppy Spin Putt.
Well, here's the thing: Gannon was being mind controlled by his chalk bag. Listen, I have never seen a guy so in shambles. Like, here's something you gotta understand about Gannon:
Can you explain what you just said?
He's being mind controlled, but I'm getting there.
Okay. I was just making sure. I don't want you to forget about
This is
that.
what it looked like: squeeze, looking at the chalk. Mass confusion
trying to
and
read
hysteria.
his fortune in the chalk
Well,
cloud.
no, like here's what there are athletes out there. I've met them. I know them. Like I firmly believe as an athlete, you're only as good as you think you are. Like you have to have a level of confidence and sometimes maybe even a little delusion and a little bit of arrogance to believe. Like you will not reach a certain potential if you don't think you're that good. You have to have self-belief.
Very good point.
And for somebody like Gannon, who already is the best player in the world, everything that happens to him, it was not. Most of the time, I shouldn't say everything. Most of the time, it was nothing to do with him. And so when that wind was swirling around, he was looking at it like what are you doing? Like, you're only supposed to blow in one direction. He would hit his chalk bag. It would be at his back. And then a few seconds later, like it was swirling. A few seconds, he'd hit it again. And he would do it a different way. And he'd step off the putt and be like, what's going on? Like, what do you think? Somebody's out there with a leaf blower? It's the wind. That's what it does. And so I think the problem was, and like, yeah, it's frustrating. Don't get me wrong. Because like, I think a lot of things that were happening, he threw an upshot long OB at one point that I think he got boosted off a tailwind. He had a putt that he felt didn't lift, and he squeezed it. He would throw a putt, hit miss low, squeeze it. It's in his face. Why didn't it lift? Like, I don't know. Gannon doesn't always. Maybe the putt was a little nose down. Like, he was just so in his head with the wind, and it was driving him nuts. And so for a whole stretch there, he wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
Because he just couldn't get it out of his head, and especially on the putting green too. A lot of his putts were looking jammy. But here's the thing: there's a reason why Gannon Bird's best is because he just overcame it. He just harnessed the wind.
Because hole 3 through 9, he was 3 over. and then he ended up shooting 7 under on the back 9.
He just like flipped the switch, I guess. But people on Twitter were not super happy about it because I tweeted because I like Gannon. I root for Gannon. He was being a little knucklehead with the win, but it's like whatever.
Makes it more fun.
And I tweeted like something about the wind kind of getting in his head, like you hate to see it, and I meant that. And like people in the comments were like, "No, you love to see it." Like, no, we love to see it. And somebody posted like his fandom survey result, and like, well, I think a lot of people love to see it. I was like, dang, man, Gannon's kind of.
He was getting under people's skin because
why
that
don't
final
people
round,
like Gannon?
How long he takes?
He takes forever. He winds at the wind a lot.
You also have to think Gannon Burr for the last
I love
2.5 seasons, a season and a half at least, has been the best player in the world. There's basically no weekend he's not on lead card coverage. So, like, he's also the player you see the most of.
Oh, and he wins a lot, too. So.
Which means when you have someone like that, people aren't going to like him. Because, like, you're going to see him so much that if there's anything about him you don't like, you're going to see it nonstop.
My thing with disc golfers is Gannon, you're right. Like, that's what you see of Gannon. I met Gannon. I've hung out with Gannon. Also, even if you haven't even met Gannon, if you see him on social media and like on the vlog squad stuff,
it's hard not to root for him.
Super likable.
It's so fun. Yeah.
So it's very easy
understand.
for me to see him getting a little frustrated at the win and like getting
fun.
being whatever. And like, I don't care. Like I just don't care because I know Gannon's like I know that if you confronted about him after the round, he'd be like, yeah, I was being a little whiny. Like yeah, I got a little out of hand there. And it really wasn't even that out of hand. And, like, he knows he takes long, and he jokes about it. So that's the thing is, like, AB, for example, he's become a very likable player. And on the disc golf course, because you don't really see anything about AB. Like, he's a pretty reserved guy.
Yeah.
And on the disc golf course, too, like, he's very contained and reserved.
Yeah.
So, like, your opinion on AB is going to be formulated by 2 things, the way he plays and the way he looks. And a lot of people like those things. And so it's tough out there in disc golf. It's tough to make yourself likable on the course by your actions because a lot of the action people will, like, if you are emotive in some way, people are going to see your frustration, and it's just a matter of how they perceive that. Like some people will see people's anger and drive and frustration and perceive it as competitor, and then they'll see another person do it. Maybe it's because Gannon's just really young and just looks like a kid. They'll see it as like, oh, he's just being whiny and taking too long. So it's a lose-lose.
Well, that was the other thing is there were several shots because of the wind and the situation of a high-pressure tournament Gannon was in where he did take longer.
Yeah.
And so people online were getting very frustrated. But again, like the card mates have to call.
Did he use his time extensions?
No one called it. Yeah, he didn't use the time extensions. We'll talk about that later. But that's my whole problem with that's my whole problem with the future.
You mean
PDGA.
timeout, right?
Yeah.
Nope.
That's my whole problem with the future PDGA rules. Is like you can give people as much time as they want and change all these rules. If no one's gonna call it, that's all makes no sense. Like it's pointless. It's pointless. Anyways, we'll get there in a second.
Did y'all see Ian and Philo do the ad activation with the beverage?
And I had ran to Home Depot to get a drywall sanding sponge.
I'm not going to mention the name of the
I
beverage.
Didn't see it during that month.
I'm not dragging. I'm not dragging.
Well, that's all. It was one of those times where I was like, Home Depot closes in an hour. If I don't go now, I'm not going to get it.
Yeah.
And Lizzie just thrown my way because for whatever reason she thought I didn't need it anymore. It's like, I always need that. What are you talking about? Anyways, carry on.
Anywho, this is nothing against like this company or even the ad spot necessarily. It just cracked me up. So they start doing like a drone flyover and they're like, today's coverage brought to you by blah 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 blah. Like it's certainly like some kind of instant like rapid hydration drink powder mix, right? They're pretty popular these days, and we have one that we like in particular. In any case,
not a sponsor. This is just freaking good.
Yet. In any case, it then goes to the booth and they've got the product in front of them. I'm like, oh, this is new territory. Like we don't usually do this. And Ian continues doing his read, peeking over at it every 2 seconds. I'm like, hey, you know what? I've been there. And then they're like, we're going to make this on camera. And I'm like, oh, now we're got high pressure stuff. So he tears open the pack. Not too bad. A little bit of spillage. Pours it in there. And gives it a little shake, and it's like raspberry. And this is like a natural one. So, like, it's a monk fruit sweetener. And it's like, this could be up in the air about how it's going to taste. And, like, okay, you're Philo, and you're being paid to do this ad. And, like, what's your job when you take a sip of this?
So I need to be like, that's the greatest thing.
It's the greatest thing you've ever had. Yeah. And, like, he gives it to Philo, and Philo takes a sip.
Or it's at least palatable and be like, yeah.
Philo takes a sip of it. Well, first of all, it probably wasn't shaken up very well. He shook it for, like, 2 seconds. Takes a sip, and, like, he's like weighing in his mind what he's like, if he likes it or not. And like, I'm like, brother, you got to be sipping that thing and like, yeah, it rocks. Yeah. And then he kind of comes in with like yeah, not too bad. That's pretty smooth, man. And like sets it down. Like you could tell he did not like it. So I just like, it cracked me up. I'm like, you never tried this before? It's like,
You're not giving a review right now. You're doing a paid
man. You're getting paid to say that thing rocked. Not like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know, it goes down pretty smooth.
It's no Gatorade, but
it's no Gatorade or Powerade, but no, it was just, it was it kind of took me by surprise. It was really funny.
So the final stretch here, again, AB had several times where he could have lost control of this round and didn't. Over again.
He had some really big putts.
Hole 17 comes in, and Gannon at this point is down by 2. He puts himself in a position where he has a birdie look. AB puts himself just outside the circle for a birdie look. If all round told us anything, I thought for sure AB was going to make this. He doesn't. Ends up tapping out for par.
That was the knee putt?
That was the, I think it had like a 45-footer.
But was that the one for a knee that he yanked? I think that was.
I thought he hit cage, but I might be thinking of a different one where he hit cage.
I may be missing it as well. I know he had a knee putt down the stretch as well for birdie that he yanked to the right, and then he just tapped out his par.
Yeah. Anyways, he taps out a par, regardless how he got there, to Gannon's birdie. So now going into 18, 1 stroke separates him. So Gannon Burr has to eagle. It feels like.
Yeah.
Because it's like if I eagle, it's gonna hole 18. It's not that straightforward of a hole, but if you're playing for par with the level of AB's talent, like. It should be pretty straightforward.
Well, we've seen that go wrong before.
Yes.
Wasn't it double G?
Yeah. They actually played the highlight of that.
Yeah. I was gonna say that was they were showing like.
I think Simon took it from him.
Well, they were showing all the finishes at Portland because they've been some epic ones. But 18. It actually is a pretty good hole because of the separation that is there.
Gannon and Kyle both, because Kyle was in this thing, but he was a stroke behind Gannon.
He needed
so
eagle as well.
If Gannon eagles, Kyle's done.
Yeah,
basically is where they were at. They both put themselves in phenomenal position. AB, not so much.
His driver came out of his hand it had to be 150 miles an hour, and he obviously threw it about 3 feet off the ground.
Yeah,
but I literally thought to myself, like, as I saw this thing zipping across the ground, because a low disc always looks faster than a high one.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. And I thought to myself, if I had thrown my hardest shot at that height, it would have gone OB 250 feet further back from where his eventually cleared and got in safe. Like, it looked like it would have cut somebody in half.
Oh yeah,
it was
it would have hurt. So, but even with that drive, it was like. He should still make par.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, that's probably worst case scenario for AB off the drive. He should still make par. So now it's like, okay, Gannon's in phenomenal position to eagle here.
He can still make birdie at this point.
Yeah. So then AB throws his second shot into a place where it's like he messed up a second shot a little bit. Now it's like he's definitely going to make par, is what it felt like.
Isn't that where he hit the tree?
That was where he hit the tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second shot. Yeah.
Feels like he's for sure going to make par, at least in my head. Because he's got a chip shot and then an up shot, par.
Like he didn't kick out of bounds.
Chip forehand, chip backhand, par. Gannon steps up. Pretty straightforward shot, but it was a little tricky. He's lining it up. He basically had to just kind of throw this left to right turning backhand. Is going to flatten out. And very shocking turn of events. Gannon yanks it.
Straight into a tree.
Yanks it like hard. Like probably 20 feet off his line yank.
It was bad.
Into a tree. It drops. So now... It's like, okay, well, Gannon should be able to get up and down for birdie, but AB's going to get up and down for par.
I was having to do a lot of mental math.
So I'm like, okay, if Gannon gets up and down for birdie, AB gets up and down for par, they're in a playoff. Kyle Klein, meanwhile, puts himself to like 35 feet for his eagle. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden, it's like, if Kyle makes that, we're basically, guaranteed a 3-way playoff, is what it felt like. Well, then AB throws the chippy forehand like he's supposed to, steps up to his backhand, fluffs the backhand a little bit, but still put it at like 20 feet. So, like, 15 feet?
No. Probably, I'd give it 25.
I don't think so.
Surely. What
Because you saw the bullseye, and it was not that far outside the bullseye.
I don't know. Maybe it was just because it's a little downhill.
They don't really give you what it. They don't give you what it was. I thought it was like a 20-footer. That's what I thought.
Maybe.
Because like the bullseye's 10, if I'm not mistaken.
3 meters, yeah.
So it wasn't 15 feet outside the bullseye. I don't think. Yeah, anyways, it was a pretty close putt. So to me, with AB's putting all day long, okay, he's in. Gannon is in the bullseye, basically touching the basket.
Yeah.
So that's a drop-in birdie. So now all eyes are on Kyle. He misses it. I'm like, okay, whatever. He hit cage. Okay, Kyle's out of the playoff. We have a 2-way playoff. And then AB steps up, and throws a bad putt. Decent putt.
I would call it a 50-50. Or maybe...
It was one that could have
Maybe
caught.
I'd call it a 60-40 putt.
But online, you would have thought this was the most...
In which direction?
It was low right.
Low right.
And it got shoved out right.
And so he throws it low right, gets shoved out, drops. It was one of those where, like, would anyone have been surprised if it caught? No.
Okay.
No.
But were you also that surprised it kicked out? In my opinion, no.
Well, you have to remember.
Online, you would have thought that this was the most perfectly thrown putt of all time. It was dead
was
center.
outrage.
How on earth did that come out?
It was an outrage.
And I was like, guys, it wasn't. He missed it probably like 6-7 inches right of where he was trying to aim. And for a 20-footer, he missed the putt.
And the problem is, too, like, you think low right, those usually do catch, but he's also popping a spin putt, like, pretty hard and flat at it. It's not like it was falling in low right. So he just hit it pretty hard, and it splashed out. I saw
brutal time to miss it.
I saw people commenting, like, worst baskets ever, and it's like, at the end of the day, that's tough, because, like, he probably thought that putt was good enough to go in. And like I said, I think I'd even call it, like, a 60-40 putt, where, like, I think more times than not, it does catch.
I'd agree, yeah.
And maybe on most baskets, too, but I know one basket in particular that wasn't that one that would have shot it out of there. Not even going to not drop names.
That was even subtle, Trev.
Well, I didn't say anything. But like, I think if you ask AB, like, he knows, like, you can't expect those to catch. Like, you have to.
That's my thing. Is like, I don't think he was aiming there.
Certainly not.
There's no way he was aiming there.
Certainly
so, like,
not.
No, of course not.
That's my thing. Is like, he didn't hit where he was aiming, and also, again, he messed up his drive, and I think it was his second shot he messed up.
Yeah,
so he messed up 2 shots early. So
beforehand straight into a tree.
If you also want to talk about, like, he messed up twice before that would have also won him the tournament.
Yeah.
And those weren't that weren't the course's
Well, he
fault.
shouldn't have been putting to have to go into a playoff. That's the big thing. Is like, there was a lot of pressure on that, because you should be coasting in a tournament, and all of a sudden you are now putting to stay alive. If you miss this putt, you lose. Like, if you've got that putt for the win and you have the safety net of the playoff, he's making that putt. He built up that pressure, and Gannon, like, it was such a weird one, because he played well the back half, but because of the shakiness in the middle of that round, it felt like the tournament just fell into his lap there. And it was just, like, so wild. Like, you're watching him tap out, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, that just happened. It felt like it felt similar to when Simon won it years back. It felt like similar to when Simon won at MVP when Corey Ellis threw away, where it was just like, oh, well, you're the winner. Like, that shifted really quick. We had kind of accepted he was going to win this tournament. So it was a crazy ending. Gannon and AB are forming a really nice, like, 1-2 right now, where, like, they are really, really having some great battles.
Yeah.
And they're going to be super exciting to watch.
Well, they're also both still so young that, I mean, for the next...
The league is in good hands, man.
We found the new Ricky and AB, or Ricky and Paul.
Trevor, are you team Gannon or AB?
When they're head-to-head?
Yeah.
I was rooting for AB in this one, but that being said, like, I don't mind when either of them win.
They have a
coward answer. What team are you on, Trevor?
I'm team Gannon.
I'm team Gannon for sure.
But see,
I feel like you have to be team
It's
AB.
impossible for it to be situational, because, like,
it's not impossible.
For example, if it was a major, of course I'm going to root for AB, because he didn't even have a major yet. So it's like, it's not even close for me.
Sounds like a bandwagon.
Yeah.
Let me say this.
I perfectly understand sports. That sounds like bad.
I'm going here. I'll give you the math equation.
You're bad sporting.
Here's the math equation. I will root for AB every time unless he has double the wins of Gannon at the time of their duel. Then I will. I don't know. I'm always going to root for AB.
Yeah.
There we go.
You're an AB guy. There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong. I wasn't going to come after you for being an AB guy.
I was more so trying to sort out my own thoughts there, because I really believe, because I genuinely, like, I was bummed for him, but, like, I also like Gannon. So, like, I wasn't devastated.
Well, this weekend, I mean, I was rooting hard against
had
AB.
He lost to, like, Luke Taylor or something, I'd have freaked out.
I was rooting hard against
Lions
AB because of the fact that I had him outside the top 7. And I was like, I need a catastrophic blow up here if I want to keep my hopes alive.
I would hate to root for bad golf.
And it didn't happen.
There was a time in that tournament where I thought for sure what was going to happen was Isaac Robinson.
He was sneaking up there.
He was really close, and I'm like, I think he's just going to come back and win, because these two guys are battling each other, and he's just shredding.
They're just ignoring Isaac.
And he ran into a little wall.
Yeah, he slowed up for sure. But no, it was a very exciting tournament all around, because you also had Ezra Aderhold absolutely shredding. He never got himself, like, truly into contention, but he was shredding from far enough back that, like, early on you saw his name flashing up on the leaderboard, because he ended up being 8 strokes out of the win, but he got those 8 strokes because he jumped 11 spots. So he was on, what is that, like, 4th card?
Wow.
Shredding. That was electric to watch. The other thing that was very fascinating about this weekend for me was it was another weekend where Paul Macbeth got himself into the mix early.
And just played himself
and then
out
just
of it.
fell off the face of the earth. It was he ended up, I forget what round he went, like 2 over. So round one, Paul was a few strokes back. He shot 6 under.
Yeah, then he shot 12.
Then he shot 12 under to be 2 strokes out of it going into round 3. And then round 3, I believe he shoots 2 over. Yeah, to drop into 14th place. And then at the finals, he ended up, I think, dropping a little bit more, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he dropped 5 more places, shooting 1 under. He was 1 over between the 2 rounds at Glendoveer East and ended up in 19th place.
That's poo-poo.
He did not play Glendoveer East well. That's why I think this is a great venue, is because there really is, like, some players are going to play Milo very, very well, and it seems that very few of the players that play Milo well are the same that play Glendoveer well.
I think I would like to see them stagger it though, because
I prefer that. I don't know if they're too far away or something, but I would definitely prefer to go Glendoveer Milo or Milo Glendoveer.
It's definitely with the golf course they have to rent those back to back. I think it's the same reason we saw them do this at like Emporia before, where like when you're a golf course, you don't want to have to rent
3 days,
like 3 days, so
or go a day and then the days off,
tear it off. Yeah, so they have to do 2 days back.
I feel like we've seen lately, like at tournaments, Paul will play like one amazing round or a couple good rounds, and then but still kind of be out of the mix. Like by the end of the tournament, do you guys think that that's more relating to like inconsistency right now, or maybe even like stamina / endurance?
Honestly, with this course, like I think typically it's inconsistency, but with this course, and I've heard him even talk about this before, like I do think that his arm has kind of got beat up a little bit. Yeah. Especially like the forehand dominant courses he struggled with, but like it's not out of the question for him to get a little gassed. I mean,
I would say this weekend I think it was more course dependent.
Yeah.
Because he played Milo very well and he played Glendoveer East awful.
Okay.
Like 1 over through 2 rounds out there. I mean, AB went 18 under through 2 rounds, is that right? Or 17 under? Even Gannon went 13 under through 2 rounds out there. Like guys to shred this course was out there. I would be surprised if someone made the cut that played Glendoveer East as bad as Paul. Maybe they did. Because I see Andrew Miranda made the cut and he shot 8 over that final round. So, but there weren't going to be many people that made the cut and played Glendoveer East that well. So I think that's more of a course-specific thing, where Paul played Milo very well and played Glendoveer very poorly. I think that was more just the course didn't line up with Paul.
Silas Selects made a post, like, they do their post-tournament post, and he said, like, didn't make the cut. And then you read the caption is like, also, like, didn't sign up for the event. Like, he didn't even play.
That's funny.
He made an event like he didn't make the cut at Portland, or he made a post like a graphic, and then in the caption like, I also just didn't play the event.
Yeah, I wasn't there.
Yeah.
That's funny. I saw the post and I didn't read the caption.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, tough weekend for Silas.
Really funny.
Really kind of a bad post, because it made me think, oh man, that was a bad weekend.
Maybe that's where he
him.
wants you though.
Maybe that's where he wants me.
That's funny.
Maybe that's where he wants me. But it was an awesome weekend out there. Also, shout out Luke Taylor, because we'll talk through our pick'em real quick. I thought Trevor was going to kill me.
We just talked about him last week.
But
right?
yeah, we did.
We predicted the future, probably.
So in FPO, we took the same picks as Tour Life, who wouldn't. They almost didn't, but then Yuli reined Brody back into the last second.
Is Yuli just the voice of reason?
I think it was. Well, you know what? Also, I was watching it because I didn't know what their picks were, and I was trying to figure out who was rooting for what going into this final round, and I discovered a very important feature we also don't have access to, Trev.
Oh my gosh.
The chat.
Yeah.
They were getting suggestions from the chat, and Brody was like, oh, Niklas isn't there. No. Sorry, whatever your name is.
So when we calculate the point ratio, we need to do about 2,000, divide theirs by like 2,000.
Yeah, I forget about the live chat. Brody's reading the live chat.
Imagine thinking that you guys are good at this when you're literally getting spoon-fed to you by the masses.
Yeah, but not only do you have 2 statisticians on your show, you also have the large audience of live chatters.
The entire United States and honestly beyond.
Yeah, but with all of that, they still couldn't beat us this week. We gained 3.5 points on them.
We beat millions.
Because we took Gannon, and Gannon ended up winning. They didn't take Gannon. They took AB and Ricky.
Why'd you think AB was going to win? Obviously, he was going to miss that putt.
We both took Eagle, which felt like a good pick, but he didn't do it. And then I picked Luke Taylor because Trevor wasn't there. And so I was able to hold us on. I thought I was going to get my voting rights revoked if Gannon ended up losing, and Luke Taylor was like on the bubble.
Luke Taylor is a great pick because he's a crusher.
Well, he played really well at Cascade.
Well. Yeah, I like that
He came
pick.
top 10 at both these events last year.
Yeah.
And he just was on lead card at the Go Throw event last weekend. So I did my research.
Yeah.
I did my research for Luke Taylor.
Last week, Trevor, we were talking about the Go Throw event, And I was like, how's Luke Taylor been doing this year? Like, I haven't heard his name in a while. He hasn't been doing great.
But he did good Cascade, and he did good here. So picked him at the right time.
That's smart.
Picked him at the right time. So we gained 3.5 points on Tour Life, so we're only down 68.7.
Let's go.
So we only need like 20 more weeks of that.
There we go. Yeah, 20. We have 20 weeks.
Yeah. Well, we have as many weeks as we want. We decide when this ends. All right. Well, that's going to wrap up the Northwest Disc Golf Championship. So it's time for the fan favorite segment, Trevor's Trivia with Trevor, right after these messages.
Hunter, what was it that people didn't like?
They didn't like
Was it that you? Was it that you were just playing a game by yourself without saying anything out loud?
And I didn't do a good job of communicating.
I kept on saying he would get like 3 words into a question and then answer it and move on and be like, Hunter, you have they have to play at home with us.
They were actually more upset just that it wasn't on the screen. That's what they were more upset.
Oh,
well. Probably because you weren't reading it.
Yeah,
so
but they weren't.
That made them more upset.
They weren't saying you're not reading
it or see it.
They weren't saying you're not reading it. They were like, "There's no point in playing that Sporkle game if you're not going to put it on the screen."
Yeah, because you didn't read it out loud.
That's not what the comment said. They said there's no point in playing it if you're not going to put it on the screen. Yeah, they said there's no point in playing it if you're not going to put it on the screen.
What game
we're not going to put it on. We don't want to put it on the screen.
We played 2 of them.
We don't want to put it on the screen because I don't want to tempt people while they're driving.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah,
that's funny. Well,
so. Don't worry, guys.
It was.
It's
like every time
Trevor,
I was like, Hunter, you have to read the whole question and give them a second.
Well, don't worry. I brought a real heater this week. Okay.
Oh no! Rock paper scissors.
This game's called Out of Production Gateway Mode, or just a cool word that sounds sort of dangerous.
That's a good one.
That's funny,
I think
Trevor.
It's pretty self-explanatory.
Listen, you got to chuckle.
Out of Production Gateway Mode, or is it just a cool word that sounds sort of dangerous?
That's great, Trevor.
All right.
Connor's going to be really good at this.
No.
Yeah.
You should have heard his gateway knowledge. They just dropped a new disc. The something.
Oh,
what is the Ghoul? Is it the Ghoul?
Ghoul is a new one.
No, not the Witch
No,
Doctor.
yeah, the Ghoul.
The Ghoul.
Yeah.
They just dropped the Ghoul. And I was like, oh, it's just a war spear. Or
Crater.
No, I said it was a war spear. I said something.
Oh, yeah.
And Konner goes, no, honestly, I think it's a crater. And then I was like, what the frick's a crater? He just basically went on and explained.
You said, is it a devil hawk?
Devil hawk, that's what I said it was. And he said, no, it's either a crater or a war spear. He said, I think they're technically the same disc, but it might be, maybe it's, and then he started talking about maybe it's this mold's top with this mold's bottom. I'm like, is that even a gateway mold? And he's like, no, this one's actually made by, and for a solid 2 or 3 minutes, the dude just rambled about these, and I was just staring at him watching it happen.
Dude, you're telling on yourself,
and then
bro.
He started
I just remember information like that. So I just.
But how do you know information like that?
Well, I know it about Innova too. It's just nobody else knows it about Gateway, so it makes me seem like a really weird.
Eventually, I was just letting him go, and eventually he snapped out of it and looked at me. I'm like, what just happened? And he's like,
into a trance.
And he tried to tried to defend himself.
Here's what's kind of funny about this one, because these are obviously out of production molds, so you're gonna have to go pretty much based on your intuition. Either you've seen these, or you're gonna have to just kind of tap into what you know about their naming scheme.
Okay.
Well, Konner names all their discs.
So for both of you, it's a simple yes or no question. Is this a gateway out of production mold, or just a cool word? Sounds sort of dangerous. Okay. We'll start with the Slayer.
I think that's a gateway.
That's a gateway disc.
I'm pretty sure.
You're both correct.
Yeah.
1-1. Next,
I've got 4 in my bag.
Next, we have the Magma.
That's out of production.
No.
If that was gateway, I think that'd be their plastic.
So not out of production.
No.
Oh, sorry. Doesn't exist. Doesn't exist.
Both of you on the same page there?
Yes.
Correct. Both of you.
We're going to freaking pwn Trevor.
Next, you have the Blur.
Oh, that's a disc. I've seen a Blur before.
Then I'm going to say yes. That's a disc.
Played your hand a little bit there.
Dang it!
I'm going to say yes.
You're correct.
I was going to say it didn't exist, but then he said he's seen it before. Homie's scrolling through eBay looking at gateway molds. We need to have an intervention.
No, I don't know where I've seen it.
Facebook Marketplace or something?
No, maybe just the used section.
Next.
See, everybody else just keeps going. Whenever they see a gateway disc, they don't even look at it. I look at it.
Give them time and attention.
I give them the attention they deserve.
Next, we have the Rage.
I'm going to say it doesn't exist.
No, he's not going to go back and forth.
I'm going to say it doesn't exist.
You don't know what I'm going to do.
There's no way he's going.
The Rage doesn't sound like a gateway disc.
It doesn't sound like a gateway disc. I do agree with you there. I'm going to have to go past my own knowledge. I do think that it doesn't exist.
Both of you say it doesn't exist?
Yeah.
Correct.
It does.
No,
I told you, Hunter.
Both wrong.
What? We're not on a team. We're going against each other.
Oh, we are?
Yeah. So you would have been right to go against me there.
The next one is the Amphibian.
That is a gateway disc.
I'm going to say yes. That's a gateway disc.
Konner, man, you got to tone down your confidence.
So confidently. definitely. Oh, that's for sure. Well, they actually released it in 4 different plastics back in 2004.
You gotta tone down your confidence.
Why
Think about it for a second, and then maybe like, yeah, I'll go with that.
I forget
one.
we're playing against each other.
Yeah, you're both right.
Sorry.
Next, we have the Crisis.
I would say it doesn't exist.
It does. I don't think it exists.
It does. I don't think it exists. You're correct again. You guys are perfect so far.
I'm not. We missed one.
No.
The Rage.
But you both missed it.
We both missed it.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
You guys
We're
are
tied.
You're
We're tied.
We're both imperfect equally.
Next, we have the Javelin.
That exists. That was a gateway mold.
Doesn't exist.
Look at a contradiction. It does exist.
Get wrecked!
I just had to do a different answer.
I'm pretty sure Coach.
You didn't.
I think
you didn't have to.
Well, I wanted to. I wanted there to be
I'm pretty sure
because I didn't
Coach
know
used to
about
throw
that.
a
You hear his
javelin.
confidence though? He played his hand.
I'm pretty sure. Well, he's not gonna trust me. I'm not a gateway guy. I'm pretty sure Coach used to throw a javelin. For some reason.
I'd never heard of a javelin. I've never heard of that at all. I've only
Get wrecked.
Yeah.
Next
I
we
basically the
have-
only gateway disc I've ever heard of is the Blur.
Next, we have the Savage.
I'm gonna say it never existed.
I'm gonna say that as well.
It did.
Dang!
Could have got one there, Con.
All right, we got
that's
3
savage.
more. Next, we have the Blitz.
I'm gonna say it didn't exist.
I was gonna say that as well.
Well, if you believe that, you need to go with it, or don't.
Blitz. No, I'm feeling Blitz. It existed.
Didn't.
Dang it.
Get wrecked.
Dude,
2 more. You got to be in
Hunter's
both
kinda a
times.
gateway guy.
Next, we have the Red Line.
No shot. No, I'm saying it didn't exist.
I'll say it did.
Didn't.
Okay. Well, at this point, I think I'm kind of like losing.
Yeah. The final one is the Bomb.
Didn't exist.
Didn't exist.
Yeah, it didn't exist.
Dude, Hunter, you
I'm the
are
gateway
good
guy.
at that.
Yeah,
you were
new
really
gateway
good
How
at
does
that,
that
Hunter.
feel, Con?
New gateway guys hunt.
I never claimed to. That's crazy. You were really good at
I
your
just beat
gateway
you at your
knowledge.
own game.
Not my game. Trevor came up with
Well,
it.
really, the only reason I won is because there were several that I would have went the other way if you weren't like, oh, I've seen that before.
No, because
funny.
you got
That is a gateway disc.
That's a
you got
gateway disc
far
for
more
sure.
answers correct than I did.
2.
You were really
Well,
good
at the
that.
end, I got with like 3.
You started just kind of.
It was really just Javelin.
Hunter's really good at that game.
Javelin, I freaking schooled you on. The Javelin, I
He
dominated.
did take you to Javelin.
I don't even know what stupid brand were you even talking about. I've never
He
heard
is
of that
not- he
before.
is not
He
cracked
took
by
you to Javelin school, man.
Yeah, I just freaking threw a javelin through you. All right, the PDGA.
I'm more like Discraft.
Proposed.
Yeah,
I far
MVP.
I far prefer the Captain's Raptor.
Or as I call it, Maple Valley Plastics.
Is that what it stands for?
Yeah.
That's electric.
What does Gateway stand for?
It stands for good
All right, we're not
At-
doing the whole thing.
turning electricity, and then you just have the rest.
with
Maple Valley Plastics.
with a y'all.
Y'all.
With a yeah.
So the PDGA proposed rule changes. You have
Hit me with them. Know the
until-
call.
You have until June 20th to let your public comment on these known to the PDGA.
That's funny.
So you can send them an email.
It's just like tell
Make
us
your
that
public
this sucks.
comment.
This is what they always do. They always propose them. What they did different this year was they went on to Smashbox and Staggered Stance to reveal them first.
Those are 2 massive podcasts.
And then the day or 2 days after, I did say I really do wish they went on Tour Life.
yeah, I wasn't gonna get spiteful except for they didn't come on our
No,
podcast.
well, not for us being on our podcast, but
We never say anything bad about them.
I just wish I wanted Brody to talk to Robert Leonard about these rules.
Why didn't they go on Tour Live?
Probably because they didn't want Brody to talk to Robert Leonard about these rules.
because it's scary hours.
That's probably
it is
that's
kinda
probably why
scary.
they didn't do it.
Same reason why
but-
debate night didn't really turn into the way that you originally thought it was going to be.
Probably.
People wouldn't actually debate
But
Brody.
they also went on the upshot. So we have our.
oh, that's where I draw a line.
So we'll go through one thing I do like about this is
Respect.
they have officially, Trev, made it where some rules only apply to Elite Series and Majors.
Oh my gosh.
So there are some. These don't all actually. I thought when they originally proposed it, all of them do. So I can correct myself there.
Where do they? How do they
don't.
distinguish that? Is that like a section of the
It's
rule
a
book?
section of the rule book, I
Okay.
do believe, because you go through all of these, which we aren't going to rule
Probably
all of them.
section 8, subsection
And
12.
then
B.
there's different ones for down there. Anyways, so the first one that's big, so this applies to all if it gets through, is 801.02 enforcement, which is the thrower no longer votes on determinations. So how this works when the flight
This is the worst one.
When the flight position or status of a disc is questionable, the determination is made by a group vote. All players, now excluding the thrower, must participate in the first vote. The option with the most votes is the determination of the group. If there's a tie after the first vote, the thrower then must vote in order to break the tie. So like if you're in a group of 3 and like the other 2 split, then you'd be the vote. Abstaining from a group vote is a courtesy violation. So it forces everyone to vote. So everyone has to have a say. And it basically, the thrower now doesn't have a say. People are calling this the Adam Hamez Waco rule, basically. But thoughts on this, Trev?
Well, Konner said it's the worst one. Is it really?
Well, this is the one that I am most opinionated on.
Well, I don't really necessarily have a problem with it.
I can give you my problems.
Because obviously, as the thrower, you're going to have bias. You're going to vote for yourself.
But all the other people are your competitors, so they are.
Well, sure.
So then now you give the power to your 3 competitors. So now, so now you don't have
against that. Pushing back on that, they always have the power.
That's true. That is
because
true.
you're only one person.
I say you're always had. I mean, well, yeah. You're right. I mean, the problem at the end of the day is that it is a self-officiated sport. Well, here, I guess,
and you can still make your argument. You just can't vote.
Here's counterpoint.
Yeah.
Here's, I guess, counterpoint. But so because you're right, Konner, the power is always in the land of the bias, right? There's no referee. You are basically communicating that our sport is one of integrity, it's self-officiated, and we're okay with that. So why are you trying to control the bias by taking away from the thrower? So I agree with you. Ruling, stupid. If it's going to be self-officiated and high integrity, let everybody vote.
Well, my thing...
that's kind of the hill you got to die on.
My kind of pushbacks on it were... with this, they did 2 things. So one of their big purposes for making this was they wanted to remove the benefit of the doubt concept. So the benefit of the doubt gets actually deleted from the rule because it was being used wrongly. Because benefit of the doubt was always, we're all foreplaying. Silas and Konner think it's inbounds. Trevor and I think it's out of bounds. Benefit goes to the player.
Yeah.
So if Konner was the player, benefit goes to him. It's inbounds. How it was being used is, that disc looks a little too close for me to make a call. Benefit to the player, it's inbounds. Which is not how it was supposed to be used.
Which is how, honestly, that's how I thought.
That's how a lot of players, so they were trying to get rid of that, which I respect.
In baseball,
that makes perfect
tie
sense.
Goes to the runner.
It's a real rule. That's how it should have just been said, is like, when there's a tie in voting, benefit goes to the player.
Yeah, that makes
sense. That's how
it
should have been worded. But instead of wording it that, they basically removed the player voting. What I don't like is... basically, with this, they were also reiterating if your card mates don't watch your shot, it's a courtesy violation on them. So it's re-enhancing, like they have to watch your shot. If they tell you, I don't really know where it crossed, I didn't watch it, it's a courtesy violation, which is going to kind of step us back, which that's always been a rule, but it is that emphasis on it, if that actually rolls into players, will step us back into we all have to stand in the fairway behind your shot, watch your shot, then move to this guy's shot, all stand behind it. Because the player who has the best vantage point is the player who threw the shot.
Yeah.
Because I threw it, unless someone's like way up by the green or something. But for the most part, like if you're off to the side and you're watching my shot, and you're off to that side and I'm watching my shot, and I'm watching it from here, I have the best vantage point as to where it crossed, what happened, what tree I hit, yada, yada, yada. So taking my vote out of it, I can make my case known. But that's more where for me it's like disc golf and golf is supposed to be a gentleman's game. It's supposed to be a rule where like you're supposed to call yourself on foot faults. You're supposed to do that type stuff. That doesn't happen. That's a different problem that they're now trying to correct with.
I don't think they can use the rules to correct with like
they're trying to correct an integrity
right.
thing, which it's like people are still going to try to bend the rules. So, anyways, that one to me is inconsequential. I don't like it, but it's not the end of the world.
Let me give one more thought.
It's going to make a lot of arguments.
I'm not saying that this is for or against the rule. I just think I see this as a possible issue, especially if you're getting a courtesy violation for not knowing what happened with the shot or not watching a shot. Now you put yourself in a situation where now somebody's like left with the possibility of, oh shoot, we have to vote on what happened, where this crossed in, and I wasn't watching. But I'm not going to say I wasn't watching. Yeah, I'm going to say, it crossed in over there.
Yeah, bro.
Like, because it leads
I saw
to
it out of my ear hole. Like
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because then you're getting called on a courtesy violation. Also, even more extreme option. So if you get called on a courtesy violation, the next time it happens, somebody calls you on it again. Is it now a stroke? Like where does that fall?
Courtesy violation?
Yeah.
Courtesy isn't. I don't know if it's stroke penalty. Is it like?
Where can a courtesy violation
you
go
can get DQ'd,
to?
but I think it can be a stroke penalty.
I think because I thought another courtesy violation leads to a stroke.
I'm not trying to throw up. People are turning around.
That's what I'm saying. Like if this is extreme. I don't see anybody being this bad of a person
to win MA3,
but
man. They're
yeah,
giving away a Zuka card.
Exactly. No,
what the heck?
You see somebody like you throw, and then you just immediately turn around and go, "Hey, where did that go?" I wasn't watching. Courtesy violation.
Let me quiz you real quick. Did exactly. That bush or that tree?
I don't see that ever happening because that's extreme. But it opens the world to.
Well, that rule's always existed.
Yeah, really?
You have to watch courtesy violations.
Oh, okay.
They were just reiterating like, hey, this is a rule. So if you're worried about your card mates not watching it, just a reminder, this is a rule.
It is already a stupid rule.
That's already a rule.
It is a silly rule.
Okay, next up, excessive time. So more time allotted on the fairway, better defining when the clock starts. So 30-second rule is outdated.
Better defining when the clock starts.
I actually think that this made more ambiguity when the clock starts. Okay. Personally, but let's get this.
Because it used to be what reasonable was the wording.
I'll get. Before it was determined your lie. Now it's addressed your lie.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely different.
So let me walk through this. So the rule, they deleted a bunch of stuff out and added a whole bunch of stuff in. So I'm just going to read what they've added in. So this is the new rule. Players must ensure pace of play and must not take excessive time to make a throw. We're tracking. Great.
Yep, there we go.
Player has taken excessive time if they have not thrown within the time allotted to them under this rule. Players are allotted time to throw as follows. When making a throw from the teeing area, a drop zone, or within 20 meters of the target, the player has 30 seconds to throw. When making a throw from any other lie, the player has 45 seconds to throw.
Okay.
So they've extended, basically, if you're in a fairway, scrambling, any of that, to now 45 seconds instead of 30.
Respect. Extra 15 matters.
The allotted time begins after the previous player has thrown, and the next player is next in the throwing order, and the player has determined the location of their lie, and the player has addressed their lie, and the playing area remains clear. So that's when your allotted time begins. A player has addressed their lie at the point when they begin taking any action indicating they're preparing to throw. Such actions include, but are not limited to, marking the lie with a mini marker, placing its support points on the lie, executing a pre-shot routine, using a rangefinder, checking the wind, clearing casual objects, testing the ground and footing. So essentially, like, if I see my disc now,
gosh, I hope it doesn't take you more than 25 seconds to clear that log out from behind your lie.
Well, I'm saying if I
on the clock,
that is true. But if I see my disc now, and I don't go near it, and I walk up the fairway all the way, I have all the time in the world.
Yeah. You haven't addressed
walk up. I haven't addressed it.
Nope.
I can walk all the way up to the basket.
Unless you use a rangefinder or check the wind.
I can't use a rangefinder. I can't check the wind, but I'm not addressing my lie.
Hey, it's not limited to, man.
It's not limited to.
Unless you think that's my pre-shot routine.
Yeah,
maybe it is. I don't know.
Good.
That's what I'm saying. It's very ambiguous.
It makes it more ambiguous.
This is all very ambiguous.
Yeah. That's because they have a pace of play like pandemic, and they are trying to solve it by making these rules as specific as possible when all it really requires is marshals with clocks.
Yeah.
You know how you know when somebody has actually addressed their lie? You know when you see it.
Yeah.
That's how.
I don't know why they don't make the rule like just whenever you're within this distance of your disc, your clock is started.
Well, because then again,
why would I walk up to it?
I'm not gonna walk up to it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's but my problem is
they're trying to solve it with like more rules and like trying to make it as specific as possible so that you can really be like, but look, right there is where it says if you use your rangefinder, your clock is started. When it's like, just throw faster.
Well, that's what my thing is. I was explaining this last week. Is they're addressing this stuff, and we already have players not calling stuff on players because. Like, that's already not happening. So on the Pro Tour, at least, this actually applies to your local C tier as well. But on the Pro Tour, at least, you already have players not calling stuff, right? So by making the rules more specific and more complex, I don't think that's going to increase the likelihood of it being called, personally.
No, I don't think this changes that at all.
What should happen is I'm a marshal. I see, Trevor's card is 4 holes ahead of Konner's card.
Yeah.
Konner's card's expected pace should be X. And it's not.
Yeah.
Then I walk over to his card. I tell him, hey, you guys are 3 holes behind the card in front of you. I need you to pick up your pace. I'm going to put you on the clock. And that's when I enforce 30-second, 45-second, whatever. Because
simple.
In general, this is what I explained last week. In general, if we're all playing and we're maintaining pace with the group in front of us, I don't care if it took you a minute to throw from over there because it's going to take me 3 seconds to throw from the middle of the fairway.
Maybe it'll take me a minute on the next hole.
And it does. So that doesn't matter if we are right on the group in front of us. Or they're just on one hole ahead of us. It's when you have Gannon's group or anyone's group 3 holes behind the person in front of them, and no one on the card's calling time.
But Hunter, the cameras.
Like that's the thing is like that. If no one on the card's calling time, you can make the rule as specific as you want. It's not a misunderstanding of the rule that's going on, and it's not the players need more than 30 seconds in the middle of the fairway. The players have all the time they want in the middle of the fairway because no one's calling it. So none of that matters. You could make it. They have 10 seconds, they can have 30, 45, 50 seconds. Like, it doesn't matter in the middle of the fairway. Putting, I think 30 seconds to throw a putt's egregious. I've seen very few putts where you need 30 seconds to throw it.
I can't wait for the first time.
Regardless.
The first time that I go out there and argue my face until it's red.
That you weren't addressing your lie.
No, that I'm at 20 meters, so I should get 45 seconds. Like, I'm going to spend most of my time just being like, I'm at this is just outside 20. Like, you can clear, I stepped it off. So, like, I need that extra 15 seconds.
Have we gotten to time extensions yet?
No, we've not yet.
I can't wait.
So then they did some stuff for scorecard examination, new procedures for provisional throw. You can read all of this because a lot of this applies more to local tournaments than to the actual Pro Tour. So we're only going to talk about
I think we should get 8
Tour.
meters off barbed wire. That stuff's dangerous.
They adjusted flex start stuff, which some people were upset about the flex start changes.
When did they
but
change the flex
I don't
starts?
know. I didn't fully read it because, again, we're talking Pro Tour. We're talking Pro Tour here.
Yeah, man.
So let's
I
get
love
down.
flex starts, so they better not have heard them.
Let's get down to the Pro Tour.
Play like 2 a year.
Mm-hmm.
One every other year.
Man, there's a lot of proposed changes here.
How is it not right beneath that paragraph?
Well, because they wanted to go through all the stuff that applies to everyone and then get into the stuff that only applies. Here you go. Okay, so now there's major and elite series. There's 11 proposals here. So first off, they removed reference to silver events. Thank goodness. The eligibility they adjusted where an MPO player have a minimum rating of 935. They upped it to 950. So that's not a big deal. Caddies have to have bib requirements. So wearing a bib on the course, like that type of stuff. Fine. No smoking after the 5-minute report time. Minor change there. Okay. Courtesy warnings now carry over to playoffs. Not really a big deal, but okay, let's get down to the nitty gritty, the big one here.
They didn't before?
Like apparently not, or maybe it wasn't clear. Maybe there was ambiguity on it. So time extension. So there are now 2 time extensions per player per round at majors and elite series events. Let me read the rule. Players in MPO and FPO divisions at major and elite series events may use up to 2 time extensions per round. A time extension adds 30 seconds to the player's allotted time under 802.03c. So a player may use a time extension by notifying the group in a manner understandable to all players. Player may not use more than 1 time extension on a single throw. If a player exceeds their allotted time under the 802.03c without using a time extension, another player in their group must call them on their time extension on their behalf. This does not require a second and uses one of the throwing player's time extensions. If a player using a time extension in the playing area is no longer clear, their allotted time resets to their normal allotted time and play proceeds as if they had not called their time extension. If a player exceeds the additional time allotted by the time extension, they receive warnings and penalties as specified in 802.03g. If a player exceeds their allotted time under it after using both time extensions, they receive a penalty throw. They do not receive a warning.
I think we should rebrand the Pro Tour logo and make it the whole thing on the face of a clock, because it appears that is all they want to make this sport about.
Well, this is where things get funnier to me now. Is we have players already not calling, like Gannon, for instance. People were frustrated in the final round. There were times where he took more than 30 seconds. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now he has 45 seconds. So now if he goes over 45 seconds, the call they make is not you went over your time. The first call they make is now time extension. You have 30 more seconds. Sick.
Nobody's ever saying that.
Then they have to call it a second time extension. Then on the third one, warning.
You're such a...
Then on the fourth one, penalty. So you have to break time 4 times now before you ever get warned. Yeah. This just made the problem way worse.
Guys,
because now Gannon Burr, if it's in the final moments of the tournament and he hasn't had a time extension called, I have to call him 4 times on hole 18, 4 different throws
for him to actually
for it to actually matter.
Yeah.
Guys, nobody...
Ludicrous.
This wasn't... the pace of play thing isn't a failure because you don't have enough rules written about it. It's because nobody's there to enforce them.
Yeah.
Nobody in their right mind is going to go, time extension. If they are, it's going to be pretty funny because it's going to be pretty petty when they do. But, like, if you think for a second that... what makes you think that they're going to adhere to this new set of rules? Why would they? Because they're going to continue doing the same thing.
Well, this to me
Why would they change?
It makes it less likely to be adhered to because, A, like, I have to have the awareness of mind to be like, oh, there you go. He just addressed his lie. So now I got to start my internal clock.
They should start
to get to 45 seconds.
Like egg timers that go off real loud whenever.
Because, like, now there's ambiguity around the addressing lie. So I have to figure out when I'm starting my clock, and I might start my clock different than Trevor starting the clock. And first off, why do I even have a clock on my hand? Because I'm trying to focus on playing the tournament I'm in.
You can't focus on playing.
And by the time I'm like, I feel like this player's taken longer than I think he has. If I didn't start a clock, I have no way to prove it.
Yeah.
So now it's like, I think he's taking longer. But then if I do find a way to prove it, it does nothing because I'm just like, hey, time extension, by the way. You have 30 more seconds. You basically just restart your time, I guess. Go ahead. And then I just sit there for another, okay, sick. And then they throw because they've already had 45 seconds at that point to throw. And then if it happens again, I'm frustrated again, I just call them on a second time extension. Like that does
in case they get stuck in quicksand while they're trying to
that's
throw.
why I'm like that. We just made it where like now as a player who's playing with someone slow, I have to catch them 4 times. So now my focus is completely off my round. It's onto their round. And I'm kind of demoralized because I'm like, in order to fix this, I have to catch them 4 times. 4 of them.
Yeah.
Starting a timer for 45 seconds. I just want to see how long it feels.
We're already 8 seconds in.
I'm going to say if I was really focusing on a putt, I think, I would have thrown my putt by now, 17 seconds in. All right, now I'm thinking like, okay, but like what time it started, it's a tough line. I'm looking for the line. Still looking. No, it's not there. Okay, look up to the ceiling. Maybe a tomahawk. Okay, I need a different disc in my bag. Grab the
Trev,
disc.
time extension. 31 seconds. Time
no,
extension.
I'm outside. No, this is a scramble shot.
I'm sorry.
And you've wasted my time, so now I'd like to add 10 more.
You know what? That's the playing area wasn't clear. You get to restart.
You're right.
My bad.
Okay, now I'm ready to throw. 42 seconds. I didn't even use my extension.
You haven't thrown yet. Time extension. 30 more seconds. You have till a minute 15.
That seems doable.
Best luck to you, Trev.
Seems doable to me.
It's just ludicrous. So then they also added for MPO and FPO where they can finish on a Monday in extreme circumstances. I like that change. Because I think we're at a point in the Pro Tour where like not all play is going to be able to go on, but they basically for severely disrupted by weather and under other uncontrollable events, then they're allowed to move it to extend on a Monday is basically how it gets worded.
God bless.
So
it needed to be done.
They have a bunch of rules in there to define it. They also define the role of a marshal more clearly. PDGA marshal is a tournament official in all aspects except for the following. The tournament director cannot declare someone a marshal. For majors, only the director of competition can declare someone a marshal. At elites, only the tour director or someone of their choosing can declare someone a marshal. However, the director of competition can override that decision. A marshal can override a tournament official or a tournament spotter.
If tournament official is male, must not have hair. That's a weird one.
What?
I didn't write that in.
But anyways, those are the PDGA new rules.
So silly.
So,
what power-ups do we get?
If you don't like them, send the email over to the PDGA by June 20th. You got 18 days to let them know, hey, I don't think we're really doing this.
I got to be honest with you, with all those rules, I don't really care because I don't think any of them are going to have any impact.
That's my thing.
They're not going to change anything.
Go ahead and implement them.
We're going to take as long as we want.
It's not. I don't think it's going to change anything. I think that it's going to.
We're not going to know any of these rules are
exactly.
in play.
Like it just make for a funny. It'll make for a funny one-off when someone finally goes time extension, and you're like, "What?
No, here's
time extension.
What's gonna happen?
All right,
it's gonna be like,
he got me.
It's gonna be like Ezra saying it to Isaac, and then everybody giggles at it.
Yeah,
like, oh, that's so funny, and then nobody actually cares.
Yeah, that's the funniest part to me is like in the pressure moment, like when it might have been called. Is like because you're not focusing on it until it's like the heat of the battle. So when it might have been called on Gannon is like hole 18 approach shot. And it's like finally it's built up, the tension's there, and AB's like time extension. And again, it's like, oh, thank you. I actually kind of wanted a few more seconds to think about this. And then he has 30 more seconds. And then he goes over it, and AB's like, warning.
Let me play a little devil's advocate.
No, he gets another time extension.
No. If he goes over his time extension, it's a warning.
Yeah. I'm going to play slight devil's advocate here. So
I don't mind that.
Major League Baseball, probably at this point 2, maybe 3 years ago, introduced the pitch clock. Okay. And the pitch clock is what it sounds like. You are now, as a pitcher, on the clock to throw. I think from the time you release a pitch, you have like 30 seconds to throw your next one. And if you fail to do so, I can't remember. I think that the runner literally gets a base. Like, it is very severe, and there's a big old clock that's ticking down. And so, like, it's very much
Silas
know.
Says yes, that's the case.
We know when it happened. It is. They get a base. Yeah, Silas does a lot of baseball broadcasting. He would know. And at the beginning, when this was implemented, it was happening a ton, right? Because these pitchers, like, they took their time. They made their career, like, off of a routine. And games were being decided because of this pitch clock. Like, there was a walk-off because the bases were loaded and a guy was getting walked. Like, it was, people were up in arms. But MLB kept their foot down. College baseball, they kept their foot down, and they said, we're going to keep this pitch clock.
But who implements it? Like, who calls it?
The umpire. Well, no, let me get to my point though. This is not against like what we're saying. I just want to make a point. So now that it's settled in, it doesn't really get talked about. Games are way faster, and even though I'm kind of a baseball traditionalist, I don't have a problem with the pitch clock. I do like that the game is quicker.
No, I want disc golf to be
quicker. So that's what
sure.
I'm saying. Maybe what disc golf needs to do, because I don't think disc golf should be played on the clock. But maybe what needs to happen is it needs to be really, really severe to the point where we will probably be on this podcast being like, I can't believe that they just took away this guy's tournament because in the clutch. We're like, we wouldn't have cared if he took a minute to make that putt. Like, that's what it was about. We would have those scenarios happen, but maybe that's what needs to happen, because then maybe a month from then, all the players would just know in their heads, we've got to throw these shots, and then maybe it would work out.
But here's I have a step,
but it would create some outrage.
In between.
Okay.
Which is, let's have the marshal find the cards that are way behind and put them on the clock and make the calls.
Well, they'd never do that. Well, no. I agree with what I.
Because like, let's imagine that situation, but you're taking the umpire out of it, and it's not really like direct head to head. It's like some third party has to kind of make the call on the pitch clock.
Yeah,
there's no clock.
I'm just saying, if they want to go completely extreme,
I'm all for it being like, because I am on the same page as the PDGA if we need these rounds faster. Disc golf shouldn't be.
I was trying to go to bed last night. We're on the West Coast, man.
Disc golf shouldn't take as long as it does.
Well, we're not.
Most of the time, it's a very straightforward. The shot in front of you, throw it. Like, especially putting. Like, it shouldn't take as long as it does on the Pro Tour. So I'm all for that. I just think that the way they're going about trying to fix it is pointless. I don't think it's going to change anything to me. So, all right. That's going to wrap up this week's episode. We have Silas Selects back. I'm fresh off of a win, so
all I have to say is, Silas, I hope your occlumency lessons have been going well, because I'm getting in your head today. Let's just let
Konner, you go first until you win it.
Yeah, man. Go ahead.
So you go ahead and go first.
I don't want him to draw in from our supernatural powers.
Well, no, I don't want us to take one that he might have got.
Well, no, but our guesses are so accurate, clearly, that he might get inspired and be
you guys are
adjacent.
You guys are far greater at this game than I have. You've won and I have not.
Correct.
I'm glad we're all on the same page.
I'm glad. Just as long as you know where you stand in this situation.
Oh, I know. What argument would I have?
None.
Exactly. What's the point trying?
Oh, can't even hear you back there.
Well, that's untrue. You were in headphones, and I know my mic is going to you.
What?
Konner, dude, your hair's not even that red.
It's Innova.
You have to talk during trivia, or they're gonna get mad.
Yeah, it's Innova, and it is a AVR.
Whoa!
Wow, went basic.
Yes.
Silas on his billing arc, bro.
Just give me.
He's mad.
Just give me a Prodigy D4.
Yeah.
Dude, that's what I was thinking, Hunt.
You have to go crazy these days, because this guy. Give me a Prodigy D3.
Is a Prodigy D4 crazy?
We're gonna start doubling up.
Those are all discs that are just right on the
Mongoose.
Yeah,
Legacy Mongoose.
Silas in his bag now.
Yeah,
he's not gonna play it safe ever again.
No. I got him with the. Well, to be fair, I don't think the Maestro was that safe.
No. Maestro definitely was not.
It
safe.
was the front. It was
that
on
was
the front.
a crazy one.
But he's gonna dig. Yeah, like he's gonna start playing.
That didn't even hurt me. Didn't even affect me.
That makes sense.
Until someone gets 2, I'm not even affected.
He's not even affected.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's this week's episode of Grip Locked. Hopefully you enjoy. We'll talk to you again next time.